Another
Team
video
USA has
looks
just
like
made a
Team
move
USA
that has
is forcing
basketball
Caitlin Clark
fans
to
absolutely
change her
outraged.
infamous
They're
22
reportedly
number
requiring
to a new
Caitlin
one.
Clark to give up her iconic number 22, the same
Team
number she
USA
wore
just
throughout
made
her
a decision
historic
that has
college career
basketball.
and continues to wear in the WNBA. The backlash
Should
has been
Caitlin have been
intense,
allowed to keep her
and
20?
many are already saying this decision could become a massive public relations mistake for USA basketball. Before we dive into the full situation,
Or is this
let me
just how
ask you
Team
something.
USA
Should Caitlin have been allowed to keep number 22?
operates?
Or is this simply
Because
how
after what I'm
Team
about to tell
USA handles jersey assignments? Because once you hear the full story, your perspective
opinion
might
might
shift
change
very
real quick.
quickly.
Because we ultimately know she was snubbed from the cover of Team USA. And not only is they snubbing her, the disrespect is continuing because it's looking like Team USA is forcing Caitlin Clark to change her number. Now, this article has come out.
Let's break down what actually happened, because this is one of those moments that makes you question whether anyone at Team USA headquarters fully considered the consequences. Caitlin Clark, currently the biggest star in women's basketball and arguably the player most responsible for bringing millions of new fans to the sport, is being required to change her number for Team USA's training camp. She wasn't consulted. She wasn't offered alternatives. She was simply assigned a different number. And the new number? 17. Yes, 17, a number that holds no personal meaning to her, her supporters, or the brand she has built. For a player whose identity is closely tied to number 22, the switch feels unnecessary and, to many fans, completely avoidable. Now let's make one thing very clear. Caitlin Clark's number 22 is far more than just digits stitched onto a jersey. It represents her brand, her legacy, and her rise to superstardom. She wore 22 when she surpassed Pete Maravich's all-time major college scoring record. She wore it while leading Iowa to consecutive national championship appearances. She wore it throughout a college career that turned her into a household name across the country. She has continued wearing that same number with the Indiana Fever, carrying that identity into her professional career. In women's basketball, number 22 has become instantly recognizable, much like 23 became synonymous with greatness in men's basketball. When fans see number 22 on a women's jersey, the association is immediate. Caitlin Clark. That connection is undeniable.
Case to be made that Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark, number 22, is the most recognizable number in women's sports right now. There is no argument to be made. There's no case to be made. Caitlin Clark, number 22, is the most recognizable number for.
Apparently, however, Team USA either failed to recognize that significance or chose to ignore it. When the roster for the December training camp in North Carolina was announced, it was right there in plain sight. Caitlin Clark listed as number 17 instead of 22. The reaction from the basketball community was swift and loud. What makes the situation even more puzzling is this. No one else on the training camp roster is wearing number 22. The number is available. It's not as if Aya Wilson has claimed it, forcing a difficult choice. There's no long-standing Team USA veteran with seniority attached to that jersey. The number is simply unused, yet Clark was still reassigned. The only explanation people can come up with is that Team USA follows a strict internal policy regarding number distribution based on tenure or prior experience. But if that's the case, it raises another question. Is rigid tradition worth overshadowing common sense? While officials may believe they're upholding structure and protocol, critics argue they may be overlooking the broader impact of what Caitlin Clark represents to the sport right now.
Caitlin Clark to wear number 17 at Team USA training camp. On December 24th, news broke that Caitlin Clark will be taking a part in the training, which that's what we talked about at the beginning of the video. Now, this right here this came out this came out on the 24th. So these are the numbers, man. Head on over to Twitter and check this out real quick. So this is what was released right here. It says Lauren Betts. Hold on. Here's the ages. Where's the number? Here we go. Right here. So these are the numbers. Caitlin Clark. Let me blow this all the way up, man. I want to blow this all the way up so y'all can see this. So as y'all can see here, man, how did Caitlin Clark number will be changed? So who's wearing 22? Or if you guys remember, Michael Jordan wore number 45 in the Olympics. Could Caitlin, because it don't look like no one's wearing number 22. It don't look like.
At first glance, it doesn't even appear that anyone else is wearing number 22. Now let's talk about the optics for a moment. This is the same Team USA organization that left Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster earlier this year. The same group that said they prioritized experience and veteran leadership, while fans across the country reacted with disbelief as the most popular player in women's basketball was excluded. And now, after finally inviting her to training camp, the first headline attached to her name is that she has to give up her signature number. That's not just questionable optics. It's a public relations nightmare. It creates the impression that Team USA either doesn't fully grasp Caitlin's value to the sport, or worse, understands it completely and still chooses to downplay it. Here's the reality that seems to be getting overlooked. Right now, Caitlin Clark's cultural impact is enormous. That isn't a slight toward Team USA or the many legendary athletes who have proudly represented the red, white, and blue. It's simply acknowledging the unprecedented influence she has had on women's basketball in recent years. She has drawn millions of new viewers. She has helped fill arenas that once struggled with attendance. She has turned women's college basketball and the WNBA into must-watch events. And a major piece of that identity is the number 22 on her jersey. So when Team USA requires her to switch numbers, even if it's just for training camp, it sends an unintended message to the fans she brought into the sport. It suggests that the connection they feel to her brand doesn't carry weight, that the symbol they associate with her rise doesn't matter, that tradition and internal policy outweigh context and common sense. And this isn't only about personal branding. It's also about business. Whether officials admit it publicly or not, a Caitlin Clark number 22 Team USA jersey would generate massive merchandise sales. Young fans who admire her would want that jersey. Collectors would want the edition that connects her college dominance and WNBA career to her international play. Instead, placing her in a number 17 jersey risks creating confusion. It introduces a disconnect between the athlete fans recognize and the uniform she's wearing. That subtle disconnect could impact merchandise sales and overall marketability more than Team USA might anticipate. Some will argue that this is simply how international basketball operates, that FIBA regulations and Team USA traditions dictate number assignments, and that no individual player is bigger than the team. Under normal conditions, that reasoning might make sense. But these circumstances are different. Caitlin Clark isn't a typical player. She has reshaped the visibility and commercial landscape of women's basketball in a remarkably short time. She has elevated interest, ratings, and revenue in ways the sport had never previously experienced. At this moment, she is widely viewed as the face of women's basketball in America. The public response unfolded exactly as you would expect. Social media filled with criticism as soon as the roster numbers were released. Fans expressed frustration. Analysts questioned the decision. Even casual observers weighed in, wondering why such a simple matter had become another controversy. From the outside perspective, it appears as though Team USA is making things unnecessarily complicated for its most recognizable star. What makes this situation more disappointing is that Team USA had an opportunity to shift the narrative. After the Olympic omission earlier this year, this training camp could have been framed as a fresh start, a sign that the organization recognizes Caitlin's significance. Allowing her to wear number 22 would have symbolized respect and alignment. Instead, they applied standard procedures without accounting for the broader context, creating yet another debate about whether they are out of touch with the moment. This December training camp is guaranteed to attract substantial media coverage, largely because Caitlin Clark will be there. Reporters will ask about the number change. Commentators will analyze it. Every article will mention that she relinquished her iconic 22. That storyline may not have been intentional, but it is now unavoidable. Behind the scenes, you also have to wonder about the internal dynamics. Caitlin is known for being a team-oriented competitor who handles situations professionally. Still, it would be unrealistic to assume she feels completely indifferent about giving up a number so central to her identity. Her representation team likely recognizes the branding implications. corporate sponsors who have invested heavily in the 22 image may also view the change cautiously. Decisions like this can create quiet frustration, even if no one voices it publicly. Then there's the perspective of her teammates. No player wants to appear entitled over something like a jersey number. Yet at the same time, veteran athletes understand the magnitude of Caitlin Clark's influence. They know that her popularity benefits everyone in the sport. When she attracts new fans, those fans don't stop with one player. They learn about other stars, attend more games, and invest in the league as a whole. In many ways, Caitlin Clark represents a rising tide for women's basketball. And when the tide rises, it lifts everyone. Aya Wilson also needs to be part of this conversation because her name surfaced in several reports about the situation. Wilson wears number 22 for the Las Vegas Aces, and some fans speculated about how Team USA would handle it if both she and Caitlin Clark wanted the same number on the national team. But here's the key distinction. Aya Wilson has been a cornerstone of Team USA for years. She's an Olympic gold medalist with deep roots in the program and unquestioned seniority. If there had actually been a direct conflict between Aya and Caitlin over number 22, at least there would have been a logical case for awarding it to Wilson based on her tenure and accomplishments with the national team. However, Aya isn't even on this particular training camp roster. That makes the entire comparison irrelevant in this scenario. There was no competition for the number, no difficult choice, no seniority debate. The jersey was available. What makes this more intriguing is what the decision suggests about Team USA's broader approach to Caitlin Clark. From an outside perspective, it appears they are attempting to treat her like any other player. On paper, that may sound fair and principled. In reality, it ignores the context. Caitlin Clark is not an ordinary player. She is a once-in-a-generation talent whose presence has permanently altered the visibility and momentum of women's basketball. Acting as though she is interchangeable, whether by excluding her from the Olympic roster or requiring her to change her iconic number, creates the impression that Team USA is either unaware of her significance or unwilling to acknowledge it. Neither interpretation reflects well on the organization. The phrase "instant regret" is not an overstatement. The criticism began immediately after the roster numbers were released, and training camp hasn't even started yet. Social media reaction has been non-stop. Opinion columns questioning Team USA's handling of Caitlin Clark continue to circulate. And when December arrives and cameras focus on the training camp in North Carolina, the number 17 on her jersey will almost certainly dominate discussion, overshadowing whatever message Team USA hoped to highlight. That may be the most unfortunate part of all. This training camp should feel celebratory. It should spotlight the next wave of Team USA talent, including Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, Paige Buchers, and others. It should generate excitement for upcoming international competition and build positive momentum around the program. Instead, it risks being remembered primarily for a preventable controversy over a jersey number. Organizations sometimes forget that being technically correct under internal policies doesn't automatically make a decision wise. Team USA likely has the authority to assign numbers however it sees fit. But having the right to do something is very different from making the smartest choice in context. In this case, assigning Caitlin Clark number 17 instead of her signature number 22 may comply with procedure, but it feels miscalculated from a branding, marketing, and relationship standpoint. The organization had an opportunity to embrace its most recognizable star, to demonstrate awareness of her impact, and to generate overwhelmingly positive attention for this camp. Instead, critics argue they prioritized rigid structure over common sense, tradition over market opportunity, and protocol over perception. The result has been frustrated fans, unfavorable media coverage, and a storyline that paints Team USA as disconnected from the current landscape of women's basketball. So that's where things stand. Team USA assigned Caitlin Clark number 17 instead of her legendary number 22, and the reaction has been anything but quiet. Was the decision justified, or did Team USA misread the moment entirely? Share your thoughts below. And if you appreciated this breakdown of the situation, be sure to like and subscribe for more in-depth basketball coverage. I'll see you next time.